What's up, everybody? Nightmare Comics 1, and this is my review of Green Lantern. I will say this movie is not as bad as some of the critics are making it out to be. Like, it is not, the best superhero movie you'll ever see, ever. It's not the worst either. It's not Elektra bad. It's not, uh, what's some other bad ones? It's not Jonah Hex or anything like that. Comic book film, Um, let's start with the bad. I'm gonna start with the bad because I'll say this: I thought it was way more good than bad, but the bad really stuck out. Let's pull it out. The okay, the bad thing first. Parallax. Parallax did not look very good at all. Like he was just like, even if you know the character, even if you don't or do, even if you do or don't know the character, it was just not it was just not pleasant to look at Parallax, to be honest. Like a friend of mine was like, he was like, the dude's making my head hurt, all that constant moving. But he wasn't pleasant to look at. It was, the movie had way too much CGI, and that's to be expected. It's Green Lantern. So there's not a lot of ways you can do that, but sometimes it was way too much, to be honest, just all at one time. That's just my opinion. Hector Hammond was terrible. Like, as a character, he was awful. Like, the bill for him was good, for him, eventually turning into what we know him as, Hector Hammond. But I didn't like the way he looked either. I thought, I thought his head should have been bigger. That's just me complaining. You go CGI everything. I'll just CGI his head. I'm just saying, all that CGI. But that's just me though. It ain't that big of a complaint. But he was awful. Like, the dude was way too over the top. That's just being honest. All that yelling and screaming and all that other nonsense. And he wasn't doing anything for that long of a time. Like, Parallax and him was sorely mismanaged. I mean, that's just my opinion. But because the Parallax thing, even though Parallax was always a overarching villain of the movie, he was kind of an afterthought at some parts, you know what I mean? And Hector Hammond, he was only villainous for like all of like 10 minutes, probably, something like that. He killed his dad and somebody, oh yeah, spoiler, he killed his dad and other stuff. It was just not, he just wasn't done well. What else did I like about this movie? The after movie scene. I wouldn't say the after credit scene because it happened right before the credits, but the after movie scene, which I'm not gonna spoil. It was hinted at in the movie, but then when things in the movie turned out the way they did, it kind of had no reason for happening. To be honest with you, even though I'm a nerd and that made me, yeah, that made me excited. I won't lie, that made me excited. I mean, anybody that's a Green Lantern fan that say that didn't make them excited is lying. You know what I mean? So, but I also thought that should have been the first movie. Just my opinion. Like, that should have been this movie. What happened at the end of the credit scene? But I do like, I like the way they set it up, but the way it ended, it had no reason for happening because, fuck it. Spoiler: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, at the end of the movie, pretty much after it's over, Sinestro takes off the green ring, puts on the yellow ring, and his suit changes, and the emblem changes to the Sinestro Corps emblem, and all that. Okay. Sinestro actually told the Guardians in the movie that that they should create a weapon based on fear to use against Parallax, the fear entity. Hal said no because never give in to fear, because fear, once you give in to fear, there's no coming back from that. That's what Hal said to the Guardians. So after that, they was like, you won't be able to you won't be able to defeat him with just willpower. The Guardians have foreseen it, and something like that they said. And then he was like, and then Sinestro told him, he was like, you'll die, human. And he was like, well, at least I'll die trying, because Parallax was on his way to Earth. So Hal wins by himself, which is another problem I had with this movie. And he just beat him. Like that right there, he beat Parallax. This entity where all these lanterns have faced him. All these lanterns have faced him. Yet one was able to defeat him. That should tell Sinestro right there. Even if Sinestro was just on a quest for power, like people think, that should tell Sinestro right there there is no power greater than will in all of the universe. You know what I mean? So why would he need to put on that ring? That's just me. Maybe I'm overthinking that, but that's how I felt. Like after I saw it, and then on the way home when I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, that was. I just kept thinking about that. Like, why would he need to put on that ring? But whatever. But I'm happy he did, because if we get a sequel, then Mark Strong was great as Sinestro, so him as evil Sinestro should work also. For the little time he had, Michael Clark Duncan as Kilowog was gold, man. He was great. Just hearing him, that was really a good choice for the voice actor. Jeffrey Rush's Tomar-Ray was good too, but they just didn't have enough time on screen, which bothered me. I felt like that Oa scene should have been like almost half of the movie, because that's a very important, part of a Green Lantern's, beginnings. Like, you were trained, you train on Oa, to become the Lantern that you're gonna be, and that should have been a big part of the movie. That's just my opinion. And if Parallax is the greatest enemy that the Green Lantern Corps has ever seen, I don't care how talented, Hal Jordan is. I don't care. There's no way he should be able to beat Parallax by himself in 5 minutes. I'm just saying. Like, that fight should have been like, if they're going to do that, maybe Hal wins the fight for the Lanterns, but all of the Lanterns should have been fighting Parallax. That's just what I think. That's just my opinion. Because that's a little unbelievable. If Parallax is the greatest villain they ever saw, how is this new recruit who just learned how to use his ring, who was just getting pwned by a guy that couldn't be Parallax himself, he was getting destroyed by Sinestro, how was he able to do it? I'm just saying, like, I'm not stupid, come on. That was yeah. But what else was I gonna say? The costume. A lot of people complain about the costume. They said the CGI for the costume was pretty dumb too. I personally, I don't think it looked as good as it could have, but I get why they went with the all CGI look. Tomar-Ray explains it, and a lot of people don't know this. They don't read Green Lantern, but I'll explain it too. Everything that entails a Green Lantern comes from their will, and everything about them is formed from the energy that comes from their ring. Even their costumes, whatever their appearance is pretty much whatever they will themselves to look like. Like, take for example, if you notice, John Stewart does not wear a mask because he feels there's no need for him to construct a mask because he doesn't have to. That's how he feels. He feels like he doesn't need to hide his identity. Meanwhile, Kyle Rayner had a mask and Hal Jordan had a mask. Guy Gardner didn't have a mask. Do you see what I'm saying? So, because they willed it that way, and I thought on Hal, I just thought that wasn't a good look for the costume, like the overall look of the costume. I didn't care that it was CGI. I mean, I get why they did it because of the energy and all that, but I just thought the costumes didn't look all that great, especially on Hal. Like, it looked good on everyone else, including Sinestro, but on Hal, not so much. That's just my opinion. Carol was alright. The chick that played Carol. The beginning scene where the origin scene where he first gets the ring, I thought that was well done. Also, I really did. Amanda Waller. I want to talk about Angela Bassett as Amanda Waller. It's funny because I just felt like they didn't use her right. Like, if you ever notice, like, she's behind everything, and you could tell this movie was like hinting towards Project Cadmus. Like, she was talking about how my employers, you can't really discuss that, and we specialize in things like this and stuff, stuff like that. And I thought that was just a nice nod for us comic book fans, But if you know Amanda Waller though, she's usually the one in control of everything. She's on top of everything. You know what I mean? People call her a bitch, but she does what needs to be done. So and she wasn't really like that in this movie. She was like kind of misused. The opening scene with Hal and the Jets, and he's having the flashbacks and stuff, I thought that was well done. Also, um, I thought we would have at least seen his nephew one more time. You know, he was only in that one part. That was a little weird, but just a little bit. Um, but yeah, all in all, man, this is not that bad of a movie. I didn't think it was great. You know, some people do. Some people think it was great. You know, I see a lot of people fuck the critics. They don't know what they're talking about. You know, and you know, I wouldn't say fuck the critics because some of the points they have are valid points. But to say this movie is horrible, I think is a stretch. That's just me. Um, I would give it like a 6.5, 6.75 maybe. That's just me. You know, but I've seen better superhero movies. You know, I've seen better comic book movies. The next one I'm gonna do, Road to Perdition, is the next one I'm gonna do. By the way, because that right now is just sitting on my PS3, and I need to watch that movie. So yeah, Road to Perdition will be the next one I do. And you know, when I read that as a kid, you know, that wasn't really for me. I'm gonna have to reread that book again. But you know, I remember that movie being really good when I saw it. So I'll watch it again probably later tonight. Have a review up sometime later this week because I want to actually do a comic book video on this channel. So this ain't a movie review channel, you know. So, but yeah, I might put it up today along with this video. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. But yeah, like I said, 6.5. Would I recommend spending the full price in the theater to go see it? Probably not. Would I recommend a matinee showing? Yeah, maybe. You know, it is. You know, there are some cool moments in this movie, man. It really is, and I don't think it's terrible. So I'll let y'all later. Peace.